If you can anticipate feelings, you can provide value. What's up, everybody? My name's Elliott. This is another episode of Urban Sage. I'm so grateful for you guys listening to me. You guys could drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe, share, really just, pump out as much, emotion towards this video as you possibly could. That'd be amazing. And, it's just so other people can have the same experience that you do. So if you can anticipate feelings, you can provide value. What does that mean? Last night I was really trying to contextualize what I have envisioned urban sage development to be. And I really had to ask myself the question, like how is urban sage development significant? What does it do? Who should be a part of it? Who would want it? Where would it be wanted? I had to ask myself all these questions, and in doing that, I came to the conclusion of something so essential for anyone's development, anyone's success. Since providing value is really the essence of achieving any level of success, you need to, know when to provide this value. But how? How do you know how to provide value? And when you really think about it, when I really think about it, it becomes very simple and very concretely clear if you know what to look for. In knowing what to look for, you can identify opportunities that require value to be added to that, into that environment, into that circumstance, that relationship. So this is really predicated on the essence that all people are really the same. We all have our little differences and our unique qualities, but at our root core, all individuals really are searching for the same things. We're all looking for acceptance. We're all looking for significance, a level of pleasure, a level of embracing to, really allow us to feel, like we matter. So when there's a moment that's transpiring that has some tension, some disease, some discomfort, ask yourself, if I was this person, if I was on the other side of this relationship, if I was, in that environment, what would I want? What needs would I want to have fulfilled? And if you can ask yourself this question, if you can really, have some clarity about the answer to this, if you can really have an understanding of what you would want if you were the other person, you know what to provide. And if you know what to provide, you can really create a relationship of progression and of progress and of one that really is, creating something of substance. And quite frankly, once you start doing that, you start to live a life that is of value, ironically. Like when you start identifying what relationships and what is needed in an individual, you can really contextualize what will allow you to be of value. And the most amazing, fundamental attribute of being able to distinguish what someone is in need of and providing that to them is simultaneously you're meeting their need while representing your own value, which is really a remarkable, experience to be a part of. It's really majestic. First off, you're saying, I value you enough to think about what you would need. Even that that alone is so monumentously life-changing. Like, so many people are not living their life in thought of somebody else. Like, someone came up to me today and said, I am so grateful for the way that you talk, because you speak in a way that is in thought of us and of the listener. And she was just telling me that, she's trying to get to a place in her own life where she can speak in a dynamic that is in unconscious awareness of who is listening, right? So if your initial instinct when you engage with a person or are in a relationship or in an environment is, how can I meet the needs of this relationship, you're far beyond such a huge percentage of people. You're in that 5%. You're in that that very small percentile of people who are really thinking outside of themselves. So even if you don't actually make any action based on this thought of another individual, you're still so far ahead of the rest of society. I wish I had some statistics on that. I wish I could tell you it's the top 2% you'd be a part of. But, regardless, I know. I spend time with hundreds of people a day, and it is not the natural state. It is not the natural state to think of somebody else. So in thinking about somebody else, you're initially skyrocketing yourself into a completely different class of individual, which, if nothing else, should say a lot about you. It should say a lot about you if your initial, state of existence is, how can I be of service to this person? And then, right, so your initial response is, how can I help this person? Then you say, if I was this person, you're creating a through line of unity between you and this other person, you and this environment, you and the society, you and this relationship of whatever it is. You're in thinking about, if I was this person, what would I need? You're doing more than relating. You're really, like, the difference between sympathy and empathy is, I could potentially have an understanding of the way that you would feel if this happened. Empathy is, I actually genuinely know how you feel because I've gone through this before. So in actually putting yourself in the other person's state, when you're trying to contextualize what it is that they would need, you're creating empathy. And empathy is perhaps one of the most leveraging emotions, leveraging tools, leveraging qualities that an individual can have, because creating a level of unity is really the most cultivating state of living that you can be a part of. Because when you create a unity with somebody else, you are embodying creation. Because if no one else was listening to what I'm saying right now, if I was talking to nobody, there would be nothing created. But because there are people who are listening to me, because you guys are listening to me, there is a product being created, right? And when you create a unity with an individual, with a society, with a community, you and that other party involved are creating a product, right? So when you have this empathy, you can really start to embody or have potential to create something beyond what it is that you initially on your own could manifest, right? And then the only, right, so you're in this initial state of, how can I help this other person, right? Which, again, sets you far beyond other people. And then you're, laying the foundation for creation to be manifested through having an understanding of what this other person needs, through having empathy. And then the really majestic and, quite frankly, miraculous, component of this thought process, this behavior, this existence, is when you actually provide to this other person what it is that you would need if you were in their circumstance. Because then what happens is you create a product formed from creation. Like you and this other person are the parents of a new moment. without the two of you, nothing further could have been created. And in thinking about what this person needs and really providing that to them, you create this product that could not have been in existence without you thinking about somebody else and you putting yourself in the other person's position and you taking action based on whatever that standing would be if you were them. And then the rest is history. The rest is monumentous combustion of exponential magnificence. Like, then who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what is going to happen if you contextualize what this person would need and provide that? I mean, then you... So, first what's going to happen is you're going to make this person know that they are of value. They instantaneously have this concrete understanding that, oh wow, this person cares about me, because clearly they put some in-depth thought about how they should behave with me, and that behavior is actually providing me with some level of significance and pleasure and well-being, right? So not only do you provide a level of conscientiousness through not only thinking about this person, but you think about them in a way that's going to benefit them and actually be constructive in a productive way in their life, right? And that says so much about you as an individual, and not only benefiting this person or this environment, society that you're interacting with. So you're going to benefit this person, right? This society, this relationship, this environment. But then also what is going to transcend beyond that is that you're going to have this understanding of your own capabilities and what it is that you can manifest because you've already done it, right? The first time is the hardest time, but then the second time is more conducive to change because you've already had an understanding of what it takes to get there in that first time, right? So it really compiles on itself exponentially. And in reaching out and contextualizing what somebody else needs and providing that the first time, in doing it the second time, you get better. You can exponentially create better relationships the more often that you provide to somebody else. And you ask yourself, like, what is the benefit of that? What is the benefit of providing to somebody else in a way that would actually benefit them? You become of value. You become of significance, not only to yourself, but to other people that you interact with, right? And then all of a sudden your life is filled with abundance beyond what you could have comprehended prior, because quite frankly, I keep saying quite frankly, it's funny. But like, honestly, like, without having engagements with other people, your prosperity is limited to what you already have. You can only create more by engaging with somebody else. So in engaging with somebody else and creating a quality, healthy relationship with them, because you're thinking of them and providing their needs, you start to embrace a life that has more than you ever could have, because your engagement with that person, that society, that environment is going to create something that you could not have created on your own. And the results of that are endless. Like, not only endless, but like, they provide a potential to live a life far beyond what you could have lived without that experience. So in thinking about how you can, meet the needs of somebody else and providing them with those needs allows you to live a life far beyond any type of life that you initially could comprehend, because you can't comprehend what the product of your engagement with somebody else will be. Like I mean, Like if I cook a meal for myself, I know that that meal will go no further than my enjoyment of it. But if I cook a meal for myself and someone else, the relationship and the transaction and the community that will unfold from that is it's essentially incomprehensible, because the conversations, the results with longevity, like what will happen after that meal, is really far beyond anything that I could comprehend. That's why it's hard for me to really, give you an example, because, what can happen beyond your initial engagement with someone else transcends whatever you had to bring to that environment to begin with. Like exponents are a great example. Like 2 to the first power is 2. 100 to the first power is 100. But like 3 to the second power is 9. Right? Like 3 to the third power is 27. Like it grows exponentially as you provide to more people. That's why whomever is the most successful more than likely provides to the most amount of people. Like that's why musicians can be so successful, because the material in which they provide to people can be so it's so dispersible, and it can be utilized by so many different people. And I mean, like you get a platinum record, you reach 10 million people, 100 million people, whatever it is, right? Like, and it's only because they are providing a product to a plethora of individuals, right? And it's not to say that it's any less quality or not if it wasn't, but the consequences of providing something to other people is so monumentous. It's so life-changing. It's so majestic. And really, that is what encapsulates the essence of living an amazing life. When you can take whatever life has provided to you and use it in a way that benefits the life of somebody else so they can have a more majestic experience. Really, that's urban sage. That is urban sage. If I could say nothing more about urban sage, that would be it. But it doesn't have to be only urban sage. Urban sage development is about, teaching people how to have a clear-cut understanding of what they have to offer, right? But it transcends that. There are so many facets of your life that have unfolded in front of you that you can utilize to benefit the life of somebody else. And the initial understanding that you have to really hold tightly is that we're all really the same. We all really come from the same essence, and we all really want the same needs to be met. Because then in understanding that, you start to implement that ideology into every environment that you're in, and you start to ask yourself, how can I help this person? What would I do if I were, what would I want if I was them? What would I do if I was them? Right? Like really having this essence of empathy that allows you to meet the needs of other people, and in meeting those needs you become of value, and becoming of value really creates a relationship that is priceless, because you're allowing that other person to embrace their true self, because one, you're providing them with something that was an obstacle for them to get over prior to you coming into their life. And then also, you're allowing them to understand that they matter. You're allowing them to know that they're seen, and that they are of substance outside of just their own reality, which allows someone to really open up their third eye of existential conceptions and really start to say, what can I do to make a change? And this all starts from you starting to acknowledge that we all come from the same essence, and how could I meet their needs if I were them, and providing those needs. It's really a majestic unfolding of an experience. And that's how, that's how you live an amazing life. That is how you really live an amazing life. Take what you have and provide it to somebody else so they can become more of who they are than they ever could have. So if you can anticipate someone's feelings, you can provide value. Now I challenge you to really start to anticipate how you would feel if you were this person, and what you would want someone to do for you if you were them, and then provide that to them. Be that person that you wish was there for you if you were them, and watch the majesty of life unfold. Watch miracles happen right in front of you, and live a life beyond what you could have comprehended.